Call the meeting to order, the Wilmington City Council. I'd like to welcome all those who are with us this evening and all those who are at home watching us on TV. Thank you for taking an interest in your government. At this time, I'd like to call on the Reverend Clifford Barnett to please give us our invocation. If everyone will stand and remain standing afterwards for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mayor Pro Tem. Yes, sir.
Let's pray. God, we thank you for ears to hear, even loud mics. We thank you for this opportunity to serve you by serving your people. We ask for wisdom, we ask for understanding, and we ask God for patience as we help to make our city a better place to live. For we ask it all in his name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have several presentations this evening. Our first presentation is the recognition of the Leadership Wilmington class of 2024. We have a big class. I believe there's 32 individuals that took time out of their schedule to learn about our community, our city, our county, our state governments, our federal governments, state ports, film industry. They probably know more about what's going on than we do, but I want to welcome them all up here because this is a tremendous group that has done an outstanding job. So come on up, everybody. Come on up. I always say at the beginning of every meeting and the end of every meeting, I want to thank people for taking an interest in their government. And I want to definitely say thank you to each and every one of you for taking an active role and an interest in your government and how the government operates. I wish we could teach this class in high school and make up for a better civic lesson on a lot of issues that we contend with here day in and day out. So congratulations on a job well done, everybody. I'll read the recognition. Whereas the objective of Leadership Wilmington is to educate, challenge, and motivate citizens and to develop future leaders to work for the betterment of our community. And whereas the program consists of 10 sessions to promote leadership skills, community issues and challenges, regional, social, and economic change, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And whereas the members of the Leadership Wilmington work together and individually to plan and execute a day of service for schools and nonprofits, better known as Work on Wilmington. And whereas Leadership Wilmington is committed to providing a continuous, diverse supply of creative leaders to the community by developing their knowledge of the region and providing them the opportunity for meaningful action. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the Wilmington City Council does hereby recognize the Leadership Wilmington class of 2024 and the Greater Wilmington Chamber of Commerce Education Foundation for their commitment and dedication for contributing to the quality of life of Wilmington and the surrounding area and region. And I want to say again, congratulations to the people at the Chamber. Thank you for doing this. This is an outstanding program that has been in existence now for quite some time. Natalie's back there in the back and does an outstanding job with her team that work diligently in our community every single day. So congratulations, and I'll turn this over to you. And I know you probably have a few words to say, because you asked a lot of questions today. Say anything about the class?
Oh, no, these guys are great. No, we really appreciate the opportunity to learn from you guys. Today was a great session, and this is the best class ever.
Yeah, congratulations. Thank you, everybody. This time I'd like to recognize Kim Huffman, who is the president and CEO of the New Hanover County Tourism Development Authority, and Frida Brady, who's the executive director of the Wilmington Convention Center, for an update from the CVB and the Convention Center. Thank you. Kim?
Well, thank you, Mayor
Frida?
Sappho and Council. We always look forward to this opportunity to share with you the successes we've seen and some of the great things going on with our partnership with the City of Wilmington and also with the Wilmington Convention Center and, of course, the CVB. So we've had this partnership now ongoing over 10 years. So, again, we look forward tonight to just sharing some great numbers with you and what's going on there. So, okay, let me make sure. So we want to start out like we usually do each year and give you just a recap of the room occupancy tax. Of course, we know the importance of the room occupancy tax and those collections countywide, also especially to the City of Wilmington, as it funds our convention center and gives us the opportunity to have this marketing budget and to be able to bring more groups in. So we saw that the convention center district continues to be up month over month. Compared to year-to-date last year. And the City of Wilmington as a whole has seen some leveling off and actually had a slight decrease during fiscal year 23-24. But I'm pleased to say that the convention district itself was the only double-digit addition that we saw this past year. So again, it's continuing to do well, the hotel properties and the group meetings. Through January of 2024, the City of Wilmington is down slightly at 6.32%. The Convention Center District is up, though, 16.57%. Countywide, we're up 2.7% year-to-date through January, and for calendar year 2023, we were up 3.23% over 2022, and as we know, 2022, we collected over $23 million in occupancy tax collections, so again, on pace to top that this year. When we look at the leads, of course, it's very important with the leads when we use our sales team and staff working with the convention center. With leads, we had 130 leads for the year compared to 126 last year, which represents a 3.17% increase. On bookings, we had 62 bookings for the year compared to 57 last year, and that's an 8.8% increase. And for accounts, we were able to add approximately 171 new accounts, which of course this is prospective business, in calendar year 2023, and that is a 39% increase over previous year. Again, our target audiences remain the same. We are looking at our meeting and event planners. Of course, our largest market is within North Carolina, the southeastern states, and the Washington, D.C. area for meetings between 400 and 750 people. That seems to be our sweet spot that fits well in the convention center as well with our hotels. Our target market segments are state associations, which is our largest group or market segment that we see annually. We're also looking at regional and small national associations, third-party meeting planners, corporate, and sports, which has really become a very hot item for our convention center, and Frida will share some of that with you. We're seeing we were identified when we did our sports tourism assessment a year or so ago, and so we're looking at such things as indoor volleyball, martial arts. I know Frida has a boxing group that'll be here this weekend. So again, you know, sports, the amateur sports, cheerleading competitions, except are really becoming very popular, and we're becoming a popular destination for those to be held. And then, of course, our Smurf market, which include weddings, reunions, education, religious groups, and club groups. Under public relations, this is always such an important element to what we do whenever we're doing sales and marketing, because as we know, earned media is free for us, so we're not having to buy advertising and that type of thing. So our earned media outreach efforts focused on promoting Wilmington's Convention District, as well as the Convention Center itself and its offerings, along with downtown and riverfront development. And our results this year included 8 placements. We had 464,527 impressions from those placements, a PR value of over $138, almost $139,000, with a spend of $25,000. So that is a 6-to-1 return on our investment in the PR realm. So again, that's a really good return that we see annually on that. We submitted 11 responses to editorial requests, or either one-off editorial opportunities. And some of the topics that were included were Carolina, and the Carolinas and North Carolina specific, food and beverage, new and renovated, unique venues, and wellness. And we also had the opportunity to actually host one writer for an in-market press trip that came. Public relations results, these are just, I'm not going to read all this, but this is just some of the results that we saw. We were in meetings today in February under their title Seaside Soirees. We were in SMART meetings in March under TAR Nation. And one of the things they said was the Wilmington Convention Center is the only convention center on the North Carolina coast. Located downtown, it features sweeping riverfront views and plenty of natural light that helps bring the outdoor inside. We were featured in meetings today in May, Meet at the Beach, but also talked about our downtown area and our walkable convention district, as well as the convention center. In small meeting markets in May, affordable and alluring, said the only convention center on the state's coast. The Wilmington's Convention Center is centrally located and connected to the city's Riverwalk. And Convention South, which is one of the very popular publications and very vital to our target markets, we were in the Event Planner's Guide to North Carolina. On the advertising side, our paid media strategy focused on the following. We were driven by print, as you can see some of the opportunities we have. So we prioritized our print insertions with key industry pubs featuring North Carolina-specific editorial, and we did full or half-page placements for a maximum impact, with added value advertorials included where possible. We were reinforced through our digital offerings, and then we also did a new focus this year on independent planners, as we're seeing an emerging market for those as well. These are just some of our advertising placements. We did some of the print was Connect, Convention South, Meetings Today, MPI Global, Smart Meetings, and of course digital, as we all know, we call it digital is king now. So much of our information is garnered through the websites, etc. We were in the AENC pre-trade show e-blast, some other e-blasts through Connect, Convention South newsletter, RCMA, which is the Religious Conference Management Association, and then we also did a paid search as well as a paid social program through LinkedIn. So our advertising results. Our top line metrics included we had over 9.6 million targeted impressions were delivered. Clicks to the website were 101,212. Our targeted email sends, inclusive our trade shows and targeted lists, were 343,976, and our open emails, which was a really good number, was 132,085. And so that is really impressive to have that. That's the important part. It's not just sending them, but making sure that they do open them. And this is just some samples of some of the creative we do. One of the ones that you see on your far left would be come for the convention district, stay for the historic district. Again, playing not only off the building, the wonderful building we have, but playing off of our destination as a whole and letting people know about that. Come for networking time, stay for teaking time. And then memorable events start with the Carolina Coastal Experience. In direct mail, this was a new thing that we did this year. We did a video mailer to our top prospects showcasing meeting planners video. And what this was is this was actually mailed out to 499 videos were mailed. They opened it up, and in it, inside, played our meetings video for them. So whenever they opened it immediately, and we're pleased to say that we were actually winner of the North Carolina Travel Industry Association's Platinum Marketing Achievement Award in the meetings category this year as a result of the Digital Meeting Planners Guide. And also we won an award for Best Innovation as the one example of all the entries that were presented that best exemplified an innovative approach to communication and promotion to the meeting planner. So we were very proud of the accolades we received as a result. Again, 499 videos were mailed and 76 new prospects were generated as a result. And to date, we've had one lead and one tentative lead to date as a result of those as well. So we're continuing follow-up with those and maybe doing a repeat program this year as we move forward with that. And last but not least, I did want to mention, I know that I spoke to Councilman Waddell, and one of the accolades that we just received as a city, many of you all have probably seen the Southern Living. I hope you all have seen the Southern Living article on Wilmington. We were voted the South's top city on the rise. So again, very proud of that. I do have some copies, not with me, but I'll be glad to send them upstairs. If you all would like a copy, if you just let me know. If you don't have one, it's a wonderful several-page feature on Wilmington itself. So we're very proud to be able to share that with you as well. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Frida Brady. Of course, Frida's the general manager at the Wilmington Convention Center, and she's going to share some building-specific stats with you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Saffo, City Council members. Well, it's great to be back. Kim touched on how the CVB markets the destination. Well, the results have been amazing for the Convention Center. Our 24 highlights this year includes a total of 96 events. We're beating budget by 23%. Attendance is up, and we're just having a really good year. I would like to point out we had some new events, particularly in the market of public shows. We had a Comic-Con, which was new this year, and we also had a weightlifting competition. The conventions are our primary driver of our event mix. Some notable conventions included Pepsi, Reed's Jewelers, Carolina's Recreation and Park Conference, the North Carolina Structural Engineers Association, the North Carolina Municipal Clerks Association, and just many of these conventions are having a strong attendance appearance. So that's been great for our economy. And then our local banquets and meetings, the Power Breakfast, the Links, the Novant Health, the Wilmington Sports Hall of Fame are just a few of the special events that we get to host locally. Public events. We're always proud of our public events because they draw in our residents from the community. The Imagine competition, dance competitions is the annual event every year. The Home Show does a fall and October show. The Boat Show does a fall show. And then Comic-Con, once again, this was a new event that drew over 6,000 attendees over the course of 2 days. They literally wrapped around the building. So it was a great event, and they're looking at coming back next year. And special events, we always take honor in hosting a lot of the special events. The military balls, we served a little over 9,000 this past November, 16 military balls. Next year, we're looking at hitting 11,000 in attendance of their guests. Honor Flight, the Azalea Festival, we do the boxing event, and this year, new for us, is going to be the Queen's Dance. And still to come for the remainder of this fiscal year, we have the Techno-Security and Digital Forensic Conference. Last year was the first time that they were in Wilmington. They had been meeting in Myrtle Beach and decided to make Wilmington their home. They attract over 1,000 attendees, and a lot of them are from overseas. So it's a great conference, and we're looking forward again to hosting that group. Builders First Source is a repeat. The North Carolina Medical Group Management Association. Circle K is coming back. Last year, I think we said they were in 14 hotels. I think that's about the same this year. And then locally, Reed's Jewelers does a national sales meeting. They will be back next year. So what's next? Fiscal year 2025 is fastly approaching us. We are looking at a great year coming up. Our budget is, for the first time, a little over $4.2 million. Conventions are strong. Our banquet business is strong. And sporting events. Kim talked about the cheerleading events. They are holding strong. We're looking at getting some new cheerleading events as well as some other sporting events as well. And lastly, thank you not only to City Council but to our staff. We've got a great team of professionals that handle food service, housekeeping, public safety, sales administration, and it could not be without them that we're having all of this success. Thank you, and we really appreciate your support.
Thank you,
Any
Frida.
questions?
Thank you. Frida, just out of curiosity, I know with Circle K you were mentioning the number of hotels that were booked, and I know that's due to the fact that there's a shortage of hotels in the downtown district, even though many years ago there was only one. So when folks are coming in these larger conventions and they're booking 14 different hotels, I would imagine they run the gamut from Wrightsville Beach to Carolina Curie, Leland, here in Wilmington, and different parts of the city. Is that the case?
Yes,
They're
that's
they're
very
all
much
over the
case,
place.
all over.
So the entire region or the entire concentrated region here is benefiting from it.
Yes, yes. They're also doing Airbnbs as well.
That's good. And so we're able to, I know it's for the event planners, it could be a headache, but overall, you can still accommodate it with what we have right now. I know that hopefully there'll be more hotels built in the near future, but right now, we can accommodate what we have with the Airbnbs and everything that's out there.
Absolutely. That's a testament to the events wanting to be here in Wilmington. They're willing to be a little bit inconvenienced to be here.
Fantastic. Good.
And one of the things also, just, we're able to do with the CBB budget that you all approve for us every year, is we're able to offer some of these larger groups that use multiple properties, transportation. And that's the way we're able to seal the deal. Because many of them, especially when they're in outlying areas, there's like, well, we've got to use multiple hotels. How do we get all our attendees there or whatever? So we do offer as an incentive to them, transportation that will run, motor coach and trolleys and that type of thing. So, and that really has helped as well. So thank you all for allowing us to use funds for that.
Kim, in respect to the marketing, I know that you folks are constantly looking at your marketing and where people are coming from and who's looking at our ads and who's not looking at our ads, and obviously the further out you go where people have to fly in, they spend a little bit more time here and spend a little bit more money. Is that a trend that we're beginning to see more of, where the fly-in destination instead of the drive-in destinations, especially with possibly with some of the conventions?
Yeah. Well, as we see it grow, if we get more regional, then we do see some of them flying in. Right now, North Carolina is still our largest market, so the majority of them do drive in. But like you said, we are trying to do outreach to more regional, southeastern, D.C., and, we're really, proud to be able to promote, all the flights that we now have at our airport. So it does give us an opportunity to say, hey, bring your meeting here. We have great flights into our area, and you don't have to drive if you want to. So yes, that is, a factor, and we're also using that as a selling point.
Great. Mr. Waddell?
Thank you all, as always, for the hard work and the great presentation. The one piece that I was wanting to maybe get a little clarification on, the citywide occupancy taxes are down about 6%. Is that, are you seeing that as a trend nationwide from the kind of boom of post-COVID travel? So we're not really an outlier there. This is just kind of everything settling back to normal year-over-year numbers.
That's exactly right. We're seeing that. We knew it was coming. We just kind of all sat back and thought, when is it going to happen to us? And, so we've seen some softening, but the good part is countywide year-over-year, we're still up slightly at about 2.33%. So, but it is a nationwide trend that people are starting to see that, that it is starting to soften some. When during COVID, and I know we don't like to keep talking about it, but, people stayed closer to home and they weren't flying as much. Now people are doing, more trips back overseas and that type of thing. So, but, we're being diligent and really being targeted in our markets to make sure we're going after the, highest probability of customers that we have.
Thank you. And then you referenced the Southern Living magazine and that placement that we had there, which was killer, but you missed one part. It was the Matthew McConaughey on the front page edition. Who doesn't
That's
love
right.
Matthew McConaughey? That was great stuff for us, so good work.
He's a draw just by the magazine, right?
No
You
doubt
know?
about it.
Mr. Barnett?
Yeah, just a quick question. When you bring in all these groups, do you hire local people to help with those groups? And if you do, how would they get hired? Like, for example, when you have new groups, like all these groups that are coming in, do you hire more staff? Do you hire more temporary staff? And if so, if somebody's listening, how could they say, how can I get a job?
Well, I will tell you that, first of all, our staffing levels are almost back to pre-COVID level, which is awesome because we're extremely busy. The majority of our team is local, our banquet servers. A lot of them are part-time, going to school at UNCW and working, just at other restaurants and picking up some part-time jobs. Our management team is all local. Our director of finance, our accounting manager, one of our event managers, they're all are graduates of UNCW. So a lot of our core staff is right here from Wilmington. And there's a lot of opportunity for us because our work is more seasonal. We peak, maybe from, to 200 employees just in military ball season in the month of November. So we pick up a lot of teachers that want some extra work. People want some holiday pay. So yes, there's a lot of opportunities. We work with at least four, probably more temp staff agencies where you can go and sign up for job opportunities at the convention center.
Okay. So they go through the temp agency?
They can go through,
and go
or
to your
look for,
website.
we advertise for part-time staff. They can come directly, to us and apply for a job as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Keep up the great work. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. This time I'd like to recognize Christina Haley, who's the Vice President of the Wilmington Downtown, Inc., presentation of the MSD Annual Report. Christina, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the City Council. I am honored to present to you the fiscal year 23 annual report displaying a year of remarkable progress and accomplishments within our municipal services district. So fiscal year 23 signifies the start of our new 5-year contract for our MSD services with the City of Wilmington. Our budget for the fiscal year amounted to $562,692 and has been dedicated to bolstering our MSD branding, marketing, facade improvement grant programming, and our ambassadors team. Our MSD contract with the city underscores our unwavering commitment to excellence in district management. In alignment with our pursuit of maintaining elevated standards for our district, WDI entrusts the maintenance of our downtown through a subcontract with Block by Block, a nationally recognized authority in safety, hospitality, and facility maintenance. Through this collaborative alliance, we have achieved significant milestones in our central business district, cultivating a professional environment in its cleanliness, safety, and vibrancy. As the representative of these initiatives, I stand before you with direction from our 37-member Board of Directors who are guiding our economic development efforts for our downtown area. Our mission is anchored in ensuring the vitality and economic prosperity of our downtown district through this strategic partnership. The highlights of our MSD success for fiscal year 23 include full utilization of allocated funds for our facade improvement grant program, the implementation of extensive landscaping initiatives across the district to enhance its overall appeal, continuing our peer survey initiative to compile a comprehensive database of business activities within the MSD, maintaining our core team members and our employee retention initiatives, aligning with our mission to optimize both hours worked and the overall effectiveness of our ambassadors' efforts. And lastly, building on the initiative of our MSD Street Outreach Program. Through this program, we have strengthened community relationships and extended support to the vulnerable segments of our society by facilitating access to essential services. First, I'll highlight our facade improvement grant program. This is an initiative supporting our city's beautification efforts. This program strategically pairs grant funding with private investment in our downtown infrastructure with a primary objective of incentivizing enhancements to downtown properties and enhancing the overall vitality of our district. In fiscal year '23, this program dispersed 8 grants ranging from $900 to $5,000, catering to a diverse array of projects ranging from simple painting and signage installations to significant structural repairs and upgrades. Notably, the $25,000 allocated in grants facilitated about $300,000 in investments across various facades within our district. This substantial return on investment underscores the program's efficiency in leveraging city funding for significant and impactful results. This photograph shows a significant repair undertaken on the columns of a facade located at 210 and 212 North Front Street. This project concluded in June and garnered much appreciation from the Homeowners Association overseeing this property. MSD Landscaping. Another large MSD initiative in fiscal year '23 was WDI's Downtown Landscaping Project. In June 2023, WDI proposed reallocating surplus funds from the MSD Operations Fund to execute a large-scale landscaping project to improve the appeal of planting beds and tree wells along prominent streets. Following the MSD Advisory Committee's approval, WDI contracted with Thorpe Landscapes of Wilmington for this $20,000 project. This project covered 33 beds and 37 tree wells on 3rd Street, 7 beds including portions of the median on Market Street, 8 beds on North Front Street between Market and Princess Streets, and planting of 300 Asiatic jasmine plants and beds along 3rd, Market, and North Front Streets where needed. These images show improved planting beds on Market and Front Streets. Here, enhancements are depicted in the planting beds and tree wells along North 3rd Street. We continued our mission to conduct our peer survey reports. In fiscal year '23, WDI intensified efforts on its Verily platform, a collaboration with a veteran-owned tech company to facilitate business surveys in this fiscal year. These insights gather valuable economic information across the district. Additionally, WDI hired a downtown business outreach and marketing assistant in this fiscal year to help with survey initiatives and in data collection from 48 businesses total so far in this current fiscal year. This map shows the surveyed business locations concentrating first in our downtown core. The survey outcomes of those 48 businesses revealed 295 full-time and part-time employees across diverse industries, underscoring the economic diversity within our district. Further surveying is underway to deepen our understanding of district economics. Additional reporting will come in our fiscal year '24 report. The bulk of our contract with the City of Wilmington revolves around the MSD operations. Subcontracted with Block by Block, this strategic partnership ensures meticulous district maintenance and upholds the highest standards of service. Presented here is our dedicated team. They are the backbone of our MSD operations. They undertake a diverse range of services aimed at ensuring our district remains clean, safe, and welcoming for all. Among them, we have James Slay, our operations manager, overseeing seamless execution of our initiatives. This fiscal year, we proudly introduced Chris Brown as our new team lead and our dedicated full-time ambassadors, Ron, Michon, and David. They are the custodians of our district, diligently working to maintain its integrity and vibrancy. In addition to our full-time staff, we have 2 part-time team members actively conducting operations. We anticipate increased foot traffic during the peak season, so we are in the process of hiring one more for this peak season to ensure there's sufficient coverage of our district. These are the services that are facilitated through our contract with Block by Block, which oversees the hiring, training, uniforms, and other necessities to optimize our team's performance. Notably, this year, we successfully negotiated a 3% wage increase for our workers alongside salary adjustments for our operations manager and street outreach coordinator. These strategic initiatives are designed to retain our seasoned staff. Here are the key highlights of some of our core services. We address rising trends in graffiti and handbill removal alongside active participation in major encampment cleanups. Our ambassadors conducted monthly street light assessments, reporting over 500 outages. Additionally, they provided over 700 escorts throughout fiscal year 23. Notably, our team facilitated nearly 49,000 hospitality contacts and over 10,000 business contacts, prompting community unity and engagement. These are our cleaning statistics. Graffiti removal efforts intensified with quick turnaround times in as little as 24 hours. Biohazard removals increased by 15%, and our team collaborated with the city's sanitation department to swiftly remove nearly 900 bags of trash from our district, ensuring prompt disposal. These depict our cleaning efforts across our district, spanning the downtown core and in zones 1 and 2. The downtown core, bustling with activity, receives meticulous attention from our ambassadors team. Zones 1 and 2 also receive dedicated care, especially during our concert seasons. This slide illustrates a before and after graffiti removal in Post Office Alley. This is a trash removal in Betancourt Alley. This shows a cleanup of an unhoused camping off of Chestnut Street. Here's a before and after of a special pressure washing project on trash receptacles and recycling receptacles along North Front Street. And here is an image showing graffiti removal along our riverfront. Extensive pressure washing projects across notable areas enhance the aesthetic and appeal and create a cleaner environment for all. The MSD conducted nearly 101,000 feet of pressure washing in fiscal year 23. The team focused on major project areas in the right-of-way along the Wilmington Convention Center, Hannah Block Center, and North Fort Street, which is pictured here. The Wilmington Convention Center will call on us at least once a year for sidewalk pressure washing to ensure that they maintain a welcoming environment for convention goers. In hospitality, our public engagements by the MSD team reached new heights with increased hospitality and business contacts in fiscal year 23. We also provided extensive public outreach along the North Front Street Improvement Project to ensure patrons were able to navigate the area safely and get to their proper destination. In hospitality contacts, our contacts increased in business contacts by 33% and hospitality contacts rose by 12% year over year. Our ambassadors work diligently to assist visitors and businesses while providing valuable information to our downtown community. Safety and hospitality statistics saw significant increases, including a 55% rise in the report of streetlight outages through our monthly reporting systems and a 39% increase in motorist assist year over year. We also had over 700 hospitality escorts conducted in fiscal year 23 among our other services. These maps show all of our ambassadors' safety and hospitality escorts in our core zone and in zones 1 and 2. Expanding on the achievements of our MSD Street Outreach program, we have maintained our efforts to foster relationships with the unhoused community, collaborating closely with businesses and property owners, as well as our downtown task force to strengthen community bonds. Moreover, the MSD and Block by Block played a pivotal role in supporting the new city-county Getting Home team through Block by Block's comprehensive training program, which was conducted both in the field and in the classroom setting. The city and county received invaluable assistance in extending outreach services to our district and beyond. Throughout fiscal year 23, we remain committed to addressing the multifaceted needs of individuals experiencing homelessness. Led by our street outreach coordinator, Jack Morris facilitated connections to a myriad of social services, facilitated housing arrangements, and assisted in obtaining North Carolina identification cards, food stamps, and other essential resources. In fiscal year 23, our outreach coordinators' contacts and referrals increased by 80% and 61% respectively. These efforts contributed to the program's success. Outreach efforts resulted in 33 rehab entries, 44 individuals sheltered, and 71 in housing. This is our year-over-year graph that illustrates our scope of services offered by our street outreach program, which encompasses documentation of panhandling instances, crisis intervention, transportation assistances, and much more. These are the points of location for unhoused outreach. Focus was placed in areas with high density of unhoused individuals seeking shelter within our district. Our joint cleaning efforts led to significant improvements in the district. WDI spearheaded a collaborative cleaning effort alongside MSD Street Outreach, NCDOT, and WPD, while also mobilizing volunteers from the social services community and faith-based organizations. These coordinated efforts resulted in significant improvements in the following key locations: the New Hanover County Library Block, the 3rd Street Bridge. We conducted 5 cleanups between MSD-related activities and coordinated efforts with NCDOT. I cannot overstate the amount of resources NCDOT provided to help the MSD with these efforts. We also conducted 1 cleanup at the City Gateway property. These joint initiatives reflect our commitment to addressing community needs through this collaborative action and fostering a cleaner and safer environment for all. This slide showcases the achievements of WDI with our MSD team removing 110 bags of trash and 54 hypodermic needles from our district through these cleanup efforts. Additionally, NCDOT contributed to the cleanup efforts by removing approximately 19,000 pounds of trash from the district through several cleanup efforts there. These photos highlight NCDOT-assisted cleanup efforts. Again, NCDOT provided a tremendous amount of resources to foster cleanliness in our community, and I am grateful for their support in this project. In terms of outside resources, we are seeing more downtown. The opening of a day shelter for the unhoused population through partnership between First Baptist Church, Living Hope Street Ministries, and Feast Gathering was a significant resource for our downtown community. Operating on Mondays and Wednesdays, this center offers crucial services including meals, shelter, technology access, and a safe environment. It has notably reduced the presence of unhoused individuals on the streets and improved their access to vital services. Moreover, it serves as a primary location of contact for our street outreach coordinator to connect with individuals seeking refuge in our district and requiring our assistance. Another valuable resource to our community in fiscal year 23 was through the Healing Place of New Hanover County. This facility's opening has supported many individuals in having access to detox, rehab, and shelter. Before its opening, WDI and the MSD Street Outreach Coordinator started building relationships with Healing Place leaders and staff. The relationships continue through the MSD's role in their Community Engagement Committee and other support as needed. In conclusion, I'd like to thank our WDI Board of Directors for their unwavering support and guidance, which has been instrumental in navigating WDI's pivotal role with this contract. I would also like to express my sincere appreciation to Chance Dunbar with the city. His consistent communication and dedication to relaying essential information have been invaluable to ensuring the success of the MSD at the city level. To each member of you, Wilmington City Council, I extend my deepest thanks for your foresight in establishing the city's 5-year contract with WDI for MSD services, and for your continued support in fostering an environment that's conducive for overall economic growth of our district. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes. Sanders?
Thanks so much, Christina, for the presentation and for everything you do. I just wanted to put in a plug for the city does have a Municipal Services District Advisory Committee, and we have a chronic opening for a large property owner. This can be somebody who has multiple properties, somebody who has one large property, and I think our legal team has advised us, we had it down for over 2 million, but that's not a hard and fast number. So we need a large property owner because they're paying the taxes to pay for this municipal services district and all of these services that you're providing. And so we want representation from the people who are actually paying the taxes for it. So if you know anybody, please encourage them to apply.
Certainly.
Good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christina, thank you. Brings us to our next item of business, which is our consent agenda, items 1 through 4. Are there any items any council member would like to hear separately? If not, what are the wishes of this council? We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Waddell, second by Councilmember Spears. Discussion. All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item passes unanimously. Before we get to public information, I'd also like to note to the city clerk that Councilmember Rivenbark did contact me earlier today, and he's under the weather, so he was not here. So I'm going to make sure he has an excused absence. So we come to our public information segment. We have several speakers that have signed up to speak with us this evening. Each speaker will be allotted 5 minutes, and the clerk will be taking the time. She has the ringer, and you'll hear the bell go off. So our first speaker is Santa Rockwell, who will be speaking to us about the Israeli-Palestinian ceasefire resolution.
Good evening. My name is Sana Eunice Rockwell, and I'm a proud human. I'm also a proud member of this Wilmington community. I'm not here to tell you the numbers you already know. Over 30,000 humans dead. Men, women, children, innocent humans slaughtered in the most cavalier way with our American weapons and dollars. It's nauseating to hear people question the accuracy of that number. Shouldn't the brutal killing of one innocent human being be enough? Shouldn't the sight of one innocent child's limbs being pulled from the rubble be enough? I want to introduce you to a few people today. This is a young girl right here. We will call her Nadine today. She's carrying her baby brother. She looks like she's about 12. She's now forced to become the guardian of her baby brother because their parents and entire family were murdered by an Israeli bomb. We heard last week that some of those bombs, or 2 weeks ago, that some of those bombs are coming right out of our port right here in Wilmington. This little girl, we will call her Sarah. She's an infant, not a girl, an infant. Her beautiful face is scorched and will never look the same after her home was burnt down by an Israeli bomb. The third person I want to tell you about today is my 8-year-old daughter. Thankfully, she is safe, living in our beautiful and peaceful neighborhood here in Wilmington. Lily asked me last October, at the beginning of this ongoing horrific genocide of the Palestinian people in Gaza, why, Mommy, why Why does the U.S. interfere in Sudan but not in Palestine? Why is the U.S. letting Israel kill the Palestinians? I was surprised, honestly, and impressed that she even knew about Sudan. But my heart was sad. I wondered, how do I explain this to my daughter? How do I explain to my 8-year-old how humanity disintegrates in the face of money and power? How humanity disintegrates in the face of arrogance and ignorance? I said, my darling, there are many things that influence our country's decisions. Money, power, also known as politics. And sadly, there are people who actually benefit from having our politicians make certain decisions. And to have us believe that the Palestinian people don't deserve to live. I'm here today because I believe that every human, including those living in Palestine and Gaza, deserve to live. They deserve a life where they feel safe and loved. I am here today because my family is from Palestine. And the only reason my dad is alive is because their Jewish neighbor saved him and saved his family. My father was born in Palestine in 1942. He was 6 when the State of Israel was formed in 1948. He vividly remembers how the men in his village, including 3 of his uncles, were lined up against a stone wall, unarmed and machine-gunned to their death while their moms, wives, and children watched. He remembers clearly when they were forced to leave their village. He remembers the 3-hour walk from their village Sufsaf by the Galilee Mountains to the Lebanese border for safety. I can only imagine the fear, the grief, the horror that my 6-year-old dad experienced at that time, only for the trauma to be repeated over and over again for 76 years, generation after generation. Despite this, my parents raised us to love and respect all humankind. In college, my group of friends and I were nicknamed the United Nations. There was me, a Palestinian agnostic American, my best friend, a Persian, Hindurian, Jewish American, who just actually called me, a Lebanese Christian American, and an Indian Hindu American. Israel and their propaganda machine try to make this massacre about religion. I am here to tell you it is not. Every religion calls us to be human. The Israelis dehumanize the Palestinian people, so we here, sitting in the US, can believe that they are terrorists who deserve to be killed. Men, women, children, and elderly. They are humans like you and me, fighting for their divine right for freedom. Freedom from an illegal occupation of their land, freedom from oppression and fear. They are fighting for a life that you and I get to enjoy and take for granted every day. In closing, I ask you to take a moment to reflect on your own thoughts, biases, and what shapes them. If it was your mom, your dad, husband, wife, daughter, son being massacred with weapons bought with your own tax money, would you be so neutral in the face of these daily atrocities? I ask you today, will a ceasefire resolution say something about who we are and what we stand for as humans? I believe it will. Are we bloodthirsty Americans who are so ignorant that we can't get beyond the Israeli propaganda machine? Or are we Americans who vote our conscience? Are we the American people who stand for humanity? Are we the people who care about injustice? Because, in the words of Martin Luther King Jr., injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. This is what the resolution is about for me. I want our children to read someday that we Americans spoke up for humanity. This is your choice today, councilmen and women. Will you go down in history as the leader and the community that said nothing while innocent men, women, and children are being maimed, massacred, and traumatized? Or are you going to dig deep, find your moral compass, and listen to that voice of humanity that is inside each of you? We need Wilmington to pass a ceasefire resolution today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Mr. Steve Lee. Mr. Lee.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Before I was a controller at Link Incorporated, I taught English at my alma mater, New Hanover High School. I had posters on my walls, quotes from Jesus, Buddha, Gandhi. One quote was from a Buddhist teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh. The quote said, "We are here to escape from the illusion of our separateness." There was also an image of something called Indra's net. Indra's net is a Buddhist metaphor for the interconnectedness of all things. The net covers the universe. In every net crossing is found a jewel of round perfection reflecting everything in the universe. When I look at Indra's net, I see Josh, the homeless man at the corner of 16th and Worcester, Glendora Mullins in Creekwood. I see Bill Sappho. I see David Rouser. I see an Israeli captured by Hamas. I see hundreds of hollow-eyed children starving in Gaza. I see a Palestinian hospital with the same number of beds as New Hanover destroyed over the weekend by Israel with hundreds of staff and patients killed. I also see the mutilated face of Zomi Francom of World Central Kitchen, who came here in Wilmington in 2019 to distribute food from St. Andrew's Church to Creekwood during Hurricane Dorian, murdered yesterday by Israeli warplanes while she was distributing food. What I see is the horrible interconnectedness of it all. I believe that many see the horror but choose to ignore it. At the congressional and presidential level, the reasons for ignoring the war crimes occurring right before our eyes have to do with money and power. The interests of those people are in my opinion, imperial power and resource hegemony. Not for us, not for you, but for their elite patrons. Ignorance at the level of city council. You may be stuck in a mindset that says, what happens in Israel has nothing to do with Wilmington. That's wrong. There's just two reasons. I can name many, but I'll give you two. Workers at GE Aircraft in Castle Hayne make parts for American aircraft sold to the Israeli military. Local CSX workers, longshoremen, tug operators, port workers, and river pilots are party to the shipment of over $1 billion of munitions shipped annually out of the Port of Wilmington and Sunny Point. So the interconnectedness and interrelatedness are real. Indra's net, if you look, reveals a horrible connection between Wilmington and the genocide in Gaza. Now, why are we asking City Council to get involved and pass a ceasefire resolution? Now, more than ever, we need every person of influence to pressure Congress to do the right thing. Demand that hostages be released, call for an immediate ceasefire, end bomb shipments, and offer immediate humanitarian aid to the sick, starving, and dying. The donor class has incredible influence on our congresspeople, like David Rouser. But personal relationships also matter, sometimes more than money. Mayor Sappho, you have a relationship with David Rouser. How powerful would it be if you hand-delivered a resolution from the city of Wilmington to David Rouser calling for hostage release, ceasefire, and humanitarian aid for the forgotten humans in Gaza. We call on you as council members and human beings to escape from the illusion of your separateness and join Greensboro, Carver, and Durham in passing ceasefire resolutions. Thank you.
Next speaker is Mr. Carl Samet. Is Mr. Samet here? Is Mr. Carl Samet here? Okay. Next person is Diana Hill. Is Ms. Hill here?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and community citizens. My name is Diana Hill. I am a member of the Basilica of St. Mary Catholic Church and have lived in Wilmington for over 30 years. Tonight, I am requesting that the Wilmington City Council continue to refrain from voting on a resolution regarding an issue of which they have no control. That being said, I am so impressed and hopeful when I see so many young people involved, active, and caring about people far away. Hopefully, that attention and activism can be channeled into the many local issues that plague our community. Personally, I would have loved to have this passion to fight the demolition of the main library. Issues such as appropriate disbursement of monies from the sale of our hospital, homelessness, food shortages, gang violence, clean water, book banning, money diverted from our failing public schools are all issues that we can and should also address right here in our community. For instance, Nourish NC needs food kits to feed 18,000 kids during spring break. Did you all know that? Can any of you help? Are you aware?
Please.
I'm sorry.
Please.
Are you aware that an option has been put on the table to have our bridge tolled? This will affect 66,000 people per day who live outside of the county to have a more affordable housing but have to work in New Hanover County, an unnecessary burden on working people. Obviously, these people have learned that showing up makes a difference. We might not get everything we ask for, but we do make certain that our elected officials are aware of our concerns. I continue to request that the City Council not pass a resolution that could impact our community negatively. We've already seen bomb threats against a local synagogue. At the last council meeting, people rudely shouted out at another citizen who was exercising her right to speak. For me, I wrote to President Biden and Secretary of State Blinken. They are the deciders, not these 7 people. No offense to you. There are several organizations that can impact this issue. The Wilmington City Council is not one of them. But before my 5 minutes are up, I would encourage all of these people to continue to channel this compassion, intelligence, integrity, and energy to those areas that would impact the quality of life of our own community. I hope you'll continue. But let's refrain from continuing to ask the City Council for making a resolution that would widen the abyss in our community while making no difference to the outcome of an international event. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Next speaker, last speaker is Amajad Aki. Hope I pronounced that properly. If I didn't, I'm sorry. We'll be speaking to us about humanity and peace activism.
Good evening, Mrs. Safo, everyone. I stand before you today as a proud American, a proud Palestinian, and an Israeli citizen. Israel is a country of starkly divided tiers for its inhabitants, At the top tier are the Jewish citizens, while the indigenous people like myself occupy a lower restricted tier. This discrepancy flies in the face of the democratic ideals this nation claims to uphold. Furthermore, Israel maintained its occupation of Palestine's remaining territories, including the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and Gaza, in a manner marked by brutality and systemic oppression, evident through easily accessible information and reports from organizations like the UN, Amnesty International, and B'Tselem, and many more. Growing up, my parents faced a difficult choice regarding my education due to the local challenges we faced and the underfunding of Arab schools. They opted to send me to a Hebrew school from kindergarten through high school. Despite facing racism and bullying as a Palestinian Arab, I integrated well and excelled academically. Over the years, I forged friendships with Jewish peers, but also became acutely aware of the deep-seated segregation within our society. My family history bears witness to the tragic consequences of the conflict. In 1948, my mother, along with her sister and father, narrowly escaped the violence that engulfed Jaffa, while her mother and 9 siblings were forcibly displaced and losing everything they own. It took 49 years for my mother to reunite with her surviving siblings in Amman, Jordan, a moment of immense joy overshadowed by the loss of her mother and other family members. I address you today not to disparage Israel, but to highlight the urgent need for change. Israel enjoys global support and privileges despite perpetuating this inhumane occupation. The events of October 7th that we fiercely condemn merely epitomize a long history of suffering that began in 1948. As a resident of Wilmington, I believe in our shared values of love, compassion, fairness, and responsibility. I implore you, as our elected representatives, to take a principled stand. When we asked for resolutions calling for an immediate ceasefire, objections were raised, framing it as a two-sided debate. This approach overlooks the gravity of the situation. Imagine if our city faced even a fraction of the condition endured by the people of Gaza. What action would we take to protect our citizens? We cannot turn a blind eye to the suffering of others, especially when it is within our power to alleviate it. It is time to set aside political considerations and act with courage and compassion. Let us not be swayed by narratives that perpetuate division or fear of political consequences. Instead, let us draw upon our conscience, our values, and our humanity to do what is right. I urge you to heed our plea for a permanent ceasefire without hesitation or fear. This is not a matter of politics, but a basic human decency. Imagine if it were 2.3 million dogs trapped in the same situation. Would we still hesitate? Of course not. Let us unequivocally affirm our commitment to peace for all, transcending the boundaries of ethnicity or religion. Let history remember us, not for our silence, but for our courage in the face of adversity. Please stand tall and proud and call for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. We all need to stand shoulder to shoulder and shine a new horizon that will bring true change and inspire others to do the same. Justice and equality must be for all of us. Let us be united in the way that America has taught us to be. That is how we can all be liberated and free. Thank you for your attention and your consideration, and may God bless you all. Please hear us and please act upon these pleas. So thank you so much, you all. Thank you.
Brings us to our next items of business, which is our public hearings. But before we go into the public hearings, I would like to ask, since we do have the county manager and his staff here, in respect to moving the resolution, which is item R1, which is the resolution authorizing the city attorney and the city manager to execute any and all documents to amend the transfer of previously owned city property located at 905 North 10th Street to New Hanover County. This is in regards to the co-op, the grocery store there on the north side. And if it would be okay, I'd like to move this item forward. Be okay? So we're going to move this item forward. So at this time, I'm going to recognize our city manager, Mr. Calder. Mr. Calder.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council. We received a request from the county manager last week regarding an amendment to a deed restriction that had been placed in the deed transferring the property from the city of Wilmington to New Hanover County. That restriction was for property on 10th Street, and it more specifically contained language that would require the property to revert back to the city should it not be used for the original purpose, which was for a grocery store. The county manager was directed at that point in time to come back with a request to the city council to remove that reverter clause. Yesterday morning, the county manager did appear here before council with regard to providing additional information and answering questions with regard to the request. And council then provided some feedback to the county manager regarding an ability to modify his request somewhat. He took that back to his commission yesterday, and they met yesterday evening, and they had some discussion about it. I think it would probably be important to call the county manager forward now and let him describe what conversations he had with his commission and the direction that they provided at the close of their meeting last night. Mr. Coudray?
Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you again for entertaining the county's request. I took back what we discussed yesterday and presented to the board that if the county ever made the decision that it needed to sell the property or it would no longer operate as a grocery store, that the county would provide to the then assessed value of the property to the city council. Our board, and I believe I represented what you described to me appropriately, your manager was there, I don't think disagreed, we shared language with him. Our board agreed unanimously with that position and has authorized the attorney and myself, the county attorney and me, to sign an agreement if in fact that's what the city council agrees to this evening. So I believe I represented what we talked about, and I'm happy to say the county commission acted unanimously in that regard.
So, Mr. Coudray, it's my understanding that if in the event the property was to revert back to the county for whatever known reason, and the county were to sell the property, that the portion, obviously the land, would be assessed at that point in time, whatever year that might be, and whatever the value of the land would be given back to the city.
Yes, sir, and the resolution or ordinance that the county and the city attorney crafted together, I think also speaks to what that appraisal process would look like. So there's no ambiguity as to how that would be arrived at.
Okay, very good. And that answers
Mr.
my
Mayor,
Yes,
I'd
sir.
like to remind you that the city attorney and the county attorney have worked together to draft language, a copy of which has been placed at your desk in front of you.
Okay, very good. We have a question here, Mrs. Spears.
Mr. Coudray, what I don't know is how we got here and why is this an issue now? I'm not hearing that. I haven't heard that in the past few weeks. And I'm troubled by that. So maybe you can enlighten me as to why this is an issue if the intent, I said it yesterday, if the intent is to build a grocery store, why is this even an issue? Does someone not want to build a grocery store?
If I may, Mr. Spears, no, that is not the intention of the county. All I can do is represent what was shared with me when we brought forward an MOA with the Northside Food Co-op and the acceptance of endowment money to build the balance of the grocery that the county wasn't in a position to fund, that county commissioners expressed concern, and I acknowledge the deed was transferred 2 years ago. That's been known to the board. But commissioners at the time of the vote expressed concern that there was a reversion clause, directed me, they approved the MOA, not unanimously, but approved it, but also directed me to come forward and ask for the council to consider the modification to the reversion clause. And so that is my representation of what the discussion by the county commission was. To answer why any one of them individually may have come to that conclusion, I can't say. But I do know that the board authorized us to execute the MOA and contingent upon working out some form of mitigation on the reversion clause. But the county intends to proceed in partnership with the city, with the co-op, and with the endowment to construct an 8,000 square foot grocery store on 10th and Fanning Street.
Okay. That's all the questions I got for the moment.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Joyner?
Mr. Kudre, thank you for coming and speaking with us tonight. I do have a few questions that I wanted to ask you. On November 8th of 2022, Mr. Caudle signed the quitclaim deed, which conveyed the property to the county and included the term that the property was to be used, if it was not used for the purpose of a grocery store, that the county would no longer have a legal interest in the property. Was that your understanding on November 8th of 2022?
That was actually my understanding at the time that the city council transferred, if you will, this property to the county, and when the county accepted it in August of that year. I believe the deed was executed in November, but it was certainly my understanding and that of the commission that those were the conditions of acceptance.
And when you came to that understanding, how did you communicate that to the commission?
Through report to the board. I also know there was public reporting on that, and there have been discussions with our commission members, and certainly there are new commissioners that were not party and seated on the commission when that decision was made, but we have certainly communicated, I believe, clearly that upon acceptance, those conditions were attached to the property.
And a majority of the sitting commissioners today were privy to those discussions and approvals?
Yes, sir.
Shifting a bit forward in time, to your knowledge, what role did the county government staff have in presenting the Northside Food Co-op as an applicant for a grant from the New Hanover County Endowment?
What role did we have? We certainly advised the co-op about perhaps how to create a competitive application, but the co-op on its own submitted an application.
And do you have personal knowledge as to whether or not that application included information about who held title to that property?
I don't know specifically if that was drawn clearly or not. What I do know is they knew that we owned the property. Whether or not there was a reversion clause, I can't speak to.
And what is the dollar total for the amount of money that the endowment is poised to put into this project currently?
They're going to put somewhere north of $7 million to match the $2.1 million that the county has put in.
Okay. And then I guess this is a question for our staff, what is the procedural posture of something if we approve tonight? If we approved the drafted document tonight, would it be good to go tomorrow? Would they be able to send out requests for proposals tomorrow, or would this then return to the county commission for another vote? And
I can't speak for Mr. Kudre as to whether or not he would feel the need to take this back to the county. I believe he has said to us previously that he did not think that they would have to do that. As far as what would have to happen for the city, this is a resolution authorizing us to execute any and all documents to amend that transfer. And so I believe that that would give us the go-ahead to work with. What that would entail would be this agreement waiver and release of reversion, which y'all have a copy of. And that would be something that the city manager and the county manager could sign off of. It would be, from this point, it would be then filed and attached to the deed so that it would run with the land. And so anybody who came after, who was interested in buying the property, would take it with knowledge that this would happen. And the reason that we put in the language on the second page about the appraisals being done prior to any sale is so that that money would automatically come back to the appraised value of the land without the above-ground improvements on it would come back to the city through the course of the sale and would just be paid out at the time of the sale. That's how it's set up right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And can you explain to me your understanding of procedurally where we would be if we approved something tonight as far as the commission weighing in again before Northside could actually go and send out requests for proposals?
Request for proposals for an architect?
Well, yes, sir, because in the county commission meeting, I think it was on March 18th, the statement was made to the county commission, something to the effect of, if you, the county commission, approve this today, we will send out requests for proposals tomorrow.
Yes, sir. And we did put out a proposal, but understanding contracts can only be executed if ultimately consensus between the two governing bodies was reached on the reversion clause. So the board authorized us as staff, if the city council approves generally what has been described and what is before you, then our board has taken its action, has authorized us to sign it. And so we are continuing to move down the path of securing an architect to go into design for the Northside Food Co-op.
Okay, thank you very much. Last sort of topic of questions. The land was conveyed in 2022, so the county is currently the possessor of the land. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
And the county was the possessor of the land on March 18th of this year when they took that vote, when the commissioners took the vote to, I guess, put the ball back in our court to ask for an amendment to the previous agreement. Is that correct?
The county was that day, and today, as I understand, is the owner of the property.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. And then I just want to make the observation that with them having taken possession of the land already, and I mean that from a legal sense, I mean nothing's on the property now because the money hasn't been approved to be spent, but they were the possessor when they said this was a surprise. They're the possessor right now, and that makes me tend to agree with Mr. Spears that if they wanted a grocery store, they would have voted for a grocery store. I am interested tonight in us doing what we can do to make sure that this does get over the finish line, and City Council making sure that this happens, because too many people have worked for too long and for too hard on a problem that has existed for too long for me to want to be the person to get in the way of this. Thank you.
Mr. Barnett?
I just want to say that I'm extremely glad that the county commissioners have agreed to the resolution, and I'm just in favor of doing whatever we need to do tonight so they can start turning dirt tomorrow. So whatever we need to do, I'm ready to, if we need to offer a motion, if I'm in order, I'm ready to do that now.
Okay.
Is that what we need?
If there's any other questions? Just so to clarify
Okay.
this, when we gave the property with the reversion clause in there, if the grocery store was not built, the property was going to come back to the city. That's the issue, because I would imagine that, and I can't speak for your group there, but the consideration of the improvements that not only the county was going to be making, but also the endowment was going to be making on the property, that if it reverted back to the city, then the city would get the whole ball of wax, including the improvements that were attached to the land. By separating it and specifically carving out that if the property reverts back to the county for whatever known reason, we are assured, our taxpayers are assured, that we're going to get paid for that property. Our portion of this, our commitment to this co-op being built, is putting up the land and seeing it happen. If something were to happen and it doesn't get built, then the consideration will be then paid back to the city of Wilmington for whatever the value is of that land at that point in time. Okay? Okay. Mr. Waddell?
I don't have any questions, just general comments. I think the structure that's being proposed here is a fair win-win for both our bodies, and we certainly appreciate New Hanover County and the partnership that we share, not just in this project, but in across the board, and making our community a better place. But more importantly, I think it's a win for the community to go ahead and move it forward. I think the structure, again, is certainly fair to the city, and my contention was always just to make sure that the taxpayers that we represent would be made whole should some change befall this project in the future. So thanks for the time that you've put forward on this, and I agree with Mayor Pro Tem.
Mr. Spears?
I don't agree with this. I don't. We made a deal. You agreed to the deal. I don't care who came along on the New Hanover County Commission. I don't. The deal was made. The deal is to make sure that the North Side gets a grocery store. If the intent is not to build a grocery store, the land comes back to us. I don't understand what the issue is. I truly don't understand what the issue is. I'm a little disappointed in what I'm hearing from some of you as well, because I don't get it. I just don't get it. And it's not getting in the way, but to me, there's something that we don't see. There's something that we're not being told. Why would we just give y'all some land? It's not about money. It can't be about money. It can't be about money for the Wilmington City Council. It's not. A piece of property that's worth $100 and something thousand, that's not anything to us, right? I'm not gonna ask you that. I'm just gonna speak for myself. That's nothing. But it's something that's just not right about this. And I honestly feel bullied. And I don't ever feel bullied, but I feel a little bit bullied by this. I'm not on board. I'm not going to be on board. I do want to express the fact that I want to see the North Side Food Co-op go on the north side of town. But I don't understand what the New Hanover, I don't understand what members of the New Hanover County Commission are trying to do. And that's troubling me. That's really troubling me. Because the deal is, if you don't provide a grocery store, give us our land back. And I'll take it a step further. If we're talking about taxpayers, the citizens of Wilmington pay twice as much taxes as residents of New Hanover County, outside of the city of Wilmington. So, city of Wilmington butters the bread for New Hanover County. So we need to look at that. We need to factor that into how we're doing this deal. And I think I heard last week or read somewhere where the monetary value of the property was the issue compared to what the county was putting in and compared to what the endowment was putting in. So let me ask this question. Is the endowment money the New Hanover County Commissioner's money? Or is that separate?
The endowment was created by the New Hanover County Commission when it entered into a partnership with Novant, but it is absolutely money of the endowment. They're bringing an amount of money, and the county committed to a best estimate of money in January of 2022 when it said to proceed with the construction of this. So there is county money that has been allocated and has been spent to this point to help with the analysis and the economic feasibility of the Northside Food Grocery. It will fund the architectural work and as much of the construction that it can, waiting on with the endowment money to take the balance.
Question. Have the residents of the city of Wilmington contributed for over 50 years to what is now Novant, whatever the name is? I'm used to calling it New Hanover Regional Medical Center, but have the citizens of Wilmington contributed for over 50 years to that?
Yes, sir.
City of Wilmington, outside, New Hanover County, everybody, right? So, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I'm letting y'all know I'm not on board.
All right, any other questions, comments?
All right, then, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to offer a motion that we proceed and with the agreement resolution or the agreement that was drafted by our attorneys and give the city manager the authority to sign the agreement so that they can in turn start the process for the store.
Make that a motion.
Yeah, I'm offering a motion. I'm sorry. There you go.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Barnett, second by Councilmember Waddell. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes 5-1. Thank you, Mr. Coudray.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. That brings us to our next item of business, which is our public hearings. Item PH1 is an ordinance amending the official zoning maps of the city to rezone property containing 0.374 of an acre of land located at 1124 Floral Parkway from O&I CD Office and Institutional District Conditional District and O&I Office and Institutional District to O&I CD Office and Institutional District Conditional District for a commercial district mixed use, better known as a CDMU development. This time I'd like to recognize the city manager, Mr. Caudle. Mr. Caudle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Associate Planner Miranda France will overview this item for us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the council. The site is located west of the intersection of Floral Parkway and Garden Avenue and contains approximately 0.374 acres and is currently a commercial parking lot for the existing personal services uses. This map shows the general vicinity surrounding the request, as well as photos of the subject property. And these are photos of the existing conditions surrounding the subject property. These are photos of the adjacent properties and land uses. Multiple dwelling uses are located to the north, south, and west. Offices are located southeast and east, with vacant land located to the northeast. The site is currently zoned O&I CD and is bordered by O&I to the east, MD17 high-density multiple dwelling residential district to the northwest and south. The applicant proposes to rezone the subject site to a new O&I CD for a commercial district mixed-use development consisting of 3 two-bedroom residential units and 2,000 square feet of personal service use. The project would include dividing the existing 37,275 square foot tract into 2 parcels with driveway access provided to the new rear lot from Garden Avenue. The proposed improvements to Garden Avenue include sidewalk along the southern portion of the sidewalk adjacent, the right-of-way adjacent to the site. The proposed modification includes the original O&I CD site plus an additional 5 feet of the remaining parcel to the east due to the dimensional requirements of the O&I district, which require 80 feet of lot width along the frontage. In front of you are proposed elevations as viewed from Garden Avenue. The subject property is adjacent to neighborhood scale infill development principles on the Comprehensive Plan's Growth Strategies map, which encourages neighborhood scaled commercial development along corridors to serve the neighborhood. The plan promotes quality design and site planning, so the new development, infill, and redevelopment is implemented with minimal adverse impacts on desired character of the existing built environment. The proposed site plan utilizes existing utilities and increases the housing supply while protecting desired neighborhood character through infill development. Staff believes the proposed zoning amendment is consistent with the recommendations of the Wilmington Comprehensive Plan and that the request is reasonable and in the public interest. Staff recommends conditional approval with the conditions listed in the case summary be applied. I did want to mention Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval following their March 6th meeting. That concludes staff's presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for staff? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This time I'd like to recognize the applicant.
Thank you very much. I'm Cindy Wolf, and I'm here tonight with Kendall Fuqua, the owner of the property. Beyond Basics has been located on this site for close to 20 years. He and I worked together when he originally built it, and then together again when we got the special use permit for the parking lot behind. It is a personal services establishment providing salon, med spa, and services for hair restoration. This is the adjacent Garden Avenue. It is public, but an unimproved city right-of-way. The current district boundary, as Miranda pointed out, was approved as that special use. That is why it needs to be modified today and why we're here tonight for the new structure and use proposed. What Kendall intends to do is to improve this back section for some additional salon space, an art gallery, 2 rental apartments, and then a personal residence in the new building to be developed in the new lot. That separate lot would be divided off with frontage on access on Garden Avenue. And so both the proposed new lot and the amended Floral Parkway lot would need to meet those O&I standards that Miranda described. And in doing so, he would in fact be improving Garden Avenue with a turnaround at the rear and also extending a water line with fire hydrant. So all public improvements that would be turned over to the city. The proposal is the 6,000 square foot, 3-story new building. It's tucked back in here and would be considered commercial district mixed use. The community next to it, Park Place Condominiums, already has a fence along their property boundary, and you can see that Garden Avenue, although it does stub into the back of that, it would have to be totally redeveloped at any point to connect to Garden Avenue, but we're providing that piece of the puzzle, if you will. The architectural style, although, you know, the hand-drawn is always questionable, but it is intended now that you see the architecture on the existing building to be very similar in the materials, the window scheme, that sort of thing. So with that, we believe that the proposed rezoning modification is certainly consistent, reasonable, and in the public interest. Location-efficient infill should be promoted and encouraged for sustainability. Mixed-use development is a great idea in areas like this that are so close to Hanover Center, Whole Foods, great variety of services that are within walking distance. And mixed-use development fosters a live-work innovation. It's an acceptable transition in areas with varied residential densities and commercial uses. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and as I said, Kendall is here too.
Okay, very good. Mr. Barnett?
You mentioned something about Garden Road. It's going to be
Garden Avenue.
Yeah, what did you say about that again? I thought I heard you say
Okay,
it's gonna
Garden
be
Avenue right
fixed up.
now is, let's see, there, Garden Avenue is currently undeveloped. It's a city street, but you can see it's just some gravel. So what we would do as part of this to create the lot that we want to develop, we'll have to pave the road and provide sidewalk on one side. That also includes a water line and a fire hydrant because of distances from new buildings.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay,
Thank you so much.
thank you. At this time, I'm going to open up the public hearing and ask if anybody in the public wishes to speak on this particular item. Madam Clerk, have you received any additional commentary?
No, sir, I have not.
Any further questions from council? If not, I'll close the public hearing and ask for the wishes of council. We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Andrews, second by Councilmember Waddell. Ms. Andrews, will you please read a consistency statement for the record, please?
Yes. I move to approve the proposed amendment to assign zoning to property located at 1124 Floral Parkway from O&I CD, Office and Industrial Conditional District, and O&I Office and Institutional District to a new O&I CD Conditional District for a commercial district mixed-use development and find it to be consistent with the relevant policies in the comprehensive plan based on the application materials and the information provided at the public hearing and in the staff report, and to find approval of the rezoning request is reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons: The proposed rezoning would allow for a mixed-use project that is compatible with the surrounding area.
Okay. All ready to vote? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item passes unanimously on first reading. Is there a motion to waive second reading? Motion made by Councilmember Joyner, second by Councilmember Waddell. Discussion. All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously on first as well as second reading. Congratulations. Next item of business is item PH2, which is an ordinance amending the official zoning map of the city to rezone property containing 2.98 acres of land located at 204 and 206 North Carr Avenue from R5 CD Medium Density Mixed Residential Conditional District and ONI CD Office and Institutional Conditional District to R5 CD Medium Density Mixed Residential Conditional District for a 30-unit townhome development. At this time, I'd like to recognize our city manager, Mr. Cottle. Mr. Cottle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. France will overview this item as well.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the council. The site is located southeast of the intersection of North Carr Avenue and Birchwood Drive and contains approximately 2.98 acres and is currently occupied by 2 detached single-dwelling units and an office. This map shows the general vicinity surrounding the request, as well as photos of the subject property. And these are photos of the existing conditions surrounding the subject property. These are photos of the adjacent properties and land uses. A detached single-dwelling unit is located to the north, offices are located to the south, commercial is located to the east, and vacant land is located to the west. The site is currently zoned R5CD and ONI-CD and is bordered by RB Regional Business to the south and east, ONI to the west, and R10 to the north. The applicant proposes to rezone the subject site to a new R5CD for a 30-unit attached townhome development. Each townhome unit would include 3 bedrooms, and access will be provided by 2 driveways, one on North Carr Avenue and one on Birchwood Drive. In front of you are elevations as viewed from Birchwood Drive, North Carr Avenue, and internal drive aisles. The site is located within a high-density transition area of opportunity along a major corridor and regional parkway and community connector, and within a mixed-use place, mixed-use center, and transit-oriented mixed-use center on the Comprehensive Plan's Growth Strategies map. The plan promotes quality design and site planning so that new development, infill, and redevelopment is implemented with minimal adverse impacts on desired character of the existing built environment. The proposed site plan utilizes existing utilities and increases the housing supply while protecting desired neighborhood character through infill development. Staff believes the proposed zoning amendment is consistent with the recommendations of the Create Wilmington Comprehensive Plan and that the request is reasonable and in the public interest. Staff recommends conditional approval with the conditions listed in the case summary being applied, and Planning Commission also unanimously recommended approval following their March 6th meeting. That concludes my presentation, and the applicant is here as well.
Does anybody have any questions for staff?
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. This time, I'd like to recognize the applicant.
Thank you again. I'm Cindy Wolf, and here on behalf of the owners of the 2 tracks that are part of this. Certainly, the expansion and improvements of North Carr Avenue and all around the Market Street intersection resulted in extreme changes to the area. Birchwood Drive was created as a diversion from traffic movements there at that intersection. Although 204 North Carr was approved probably by 4 of you, back in the office one was approved back in 1991, but the property at 2006 was the only remaining parcel at that time, and I was here in 2022 with the first phase of this, if you will. But after that approval, the 2 owners got together and decided to joint effort and just expand the residential community that they had proposed. So with that joining forces, we have a comprehensive plan, which also allowed an additional driveway onto Carr Avenue. The first parcel was just too close to the intersection, but now that both parcels are involved, it gives better circulation, better emergency services. The development scheme is to create 4 R5 lots. Each lot would then have an attached single-family homes, which we talk of as townhomes. And it is a common plan of development then. The detailed design, review, and permitting are certainly all processed through the Technical Review Committee. And the comprehensive plan now includes 30 residential units, as she said, each with a 2-car garage, a 2-car parking pad, and some additional guest parking. The pond we propose will provide both a visual amenity and stormwater management. And the architectural was the same as that 2022 project. We're just expanding it. The Create Wilmington Comprehensive Plan shows this property, as she said, as an area of opportunity. We think that increased densities with infill development are certainly promoted in this area, and this subject site is in the proximity also with a wealth of shopping, restaurants, and other commercial services. Location efficient, moderate density, home development is a logical and reasonable use. The housing needs assessment continues to show the projected gap for a full range of costs for owned homes, rental prices, and also associated income levels of owner affordability. Rezoning this property for the higher density is certainly consistent with the concept of infilling. I'd be happy to answer your questions.
Do you have any questions for Ms. Wolf? Mr. Waddell?
Thank you, Ms. Wolf. Just really a refresher for me, the 2022 rezoning of just the singular parcel, how many units were approved there?
I believe it was all 12, well, let's see, 14 of the original. So this pretty much just resulted in adding them on the other side and the driveway.
Understood. I was just curious. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Wolf. This time I open up the public hearing and ask if anybody in the public wishes to speak on item PH2.
Good evening, members of council, mayor. My name is Jonathan Washburn. I'm the corporate manager of one of the corporate managers of a company called Julia Cameron LLC. That happens to be my 2 daughters, Julia and Cameron. They own a property at 310 North Kerr, which is not immediately across Birchwood, but one property over, so we received notice. In fact, we're one of the few locations that utilizes Noak Street for actual present occupants. I'm only here, I'm glad I came, a lot of good things at this meeting, but I only wanted to say I'm so excited about this project. I've not heard one neighbor say anything about this in opposition to it. Noak Street and the development of Birchwood were put in when Kerr was widened and separated and connected, and it has so far been a little bit of a zombie zone, and it's because the development in there hasn't started yet. But this is, I hope, going to start it. I'm so excited about this. I have nothing but good things to say about what I've seen. And for all the reasons stated in the application, the 4 criteria and all the other reasons, I support this wholeheartedly. So do my daughters. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Washburn. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Anybody else? Madam Clerk, have you received any additional commentary?
No, sir, I have not.
Okay, very good. I'm going to close the public hearing and ask for the wishes of council. We have a motion to approve by Mayor Pro Tem Barnett, second by Councilmember Joyner.
I move to approve the proposed amendment to assign zoning to property located at 204 and 206 North Kerr Avenue from R5 CD medium density mixed residential conditional district and O&I CD office and institutional conditional district to a new R5 CD conditional district for a 30-unit attached townhome development and find it to be consistent with the relevant policies in the comprehensive plan based on the application material and the information provided at the public hearing and in the staff report, and to find approval of the rezoning request as reasonable in the public interest for the following reasons. The proposed rezoning serves as an appropriate transition between existing commercial and residential areas and provides additional density along a major corridor and near services.
Ready to vote? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously on first reading. Is there a motion to waive second reading? Motion made by Councilmember Waddell, second by Councilmember Andrews. Discussion. All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously on first as well as second reading. That brings us to our ordinances. Item 01 is an ordinance making supplemental appropriations in the amount of $43,694 from the committed revenue funds for the Live Oak Bank Pavilion at Riverfront Park, Hugh Morton Amphitheater, and Althea Gibson Tennis Complex for maintenance and improvements at those facilities. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sally Thigpen, our Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation, will overview this item.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. For your consideration, this ordinance would appropriate $43,000 from the committed revenue fund for mulching, sod, plants, and lighting at Riverfront Park, landscape materials at the Hugh Morton Amphitheater at Greenfield Park, and a backboard replacement at the Althea Gibson Tennis Complex. Funds are generated by ticket surcharges from events at these facilities and will assist in the maintenance at these facilities. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Are there any questions? Okay, thank you. What are the wishes of council in respect to the ordinance? I have a motion to approve by Councilmember Andrews, second by Councilmember Waddell. Discussion. All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously on first reading. Is there a motion to waive second reading? Motion made by Councilmember Joyner, second by Mayor Pro Tem Barnett. Discussion. All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously on first as well as second reading. This concludes the regular agenda. Are there any items to be brought forward by our city attorney?
No, sir, I'd just like to say, go Wolfpack.
Yes, ma'am. Always got to get those state guys in there. Mr. Manager? Yeah, he's a Carolina guy. Madam Clerk, Mr. Joyner,
No, thank you.
Mr. Waddell, Barnett.
Yeah, today, April the 2nd, is my brother's birthday. There are 6 boys in my family: Clarence, Clifford, Clinton, Clement, Carlton, Clayton, and we're all 1 year apart. And so the one that's 1 year younger than I am is celebrating his last 60th birthday. And so I just want to wish him a happy birthday. And when I think about that, I think about how quickly we've grown up. And what I worry about with kids, I remember reading a statement that said, days are long, but years are short. Days are long, but years are short. And so it's just so important that we continue to pour into kids and pour into people and enjoy and celebrate birthdays and just regular days. And so I just want to wish my brother Clinton a happy birthday and say to all of us, let's all celebrate.
Ms. Andrews?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Spears? I know with the Zaya Festival is going to be starting on Wednesday. It's already really actually started, but I just want to say to the city folks, the staff, the people that are out there working at our police officers, fire department, city staff, and everybody that do such a magnificent job. I'm not going to have an opportunity to say thank you, but thank you, because I know there's a lot of people coming to town, and you folks always do an exceptional job, and I just want to say thank you on behalf of the entire city council for all the work you folks will be putting in over this weekend. So with that, be safe. Thank you for taking an interest in your government. We stand adjourned.